So a lot of people have been told, once the brain starts having issues, like it can't be fixed, like it can't be healed, like the brain can't repair, regenerate, and heal. That's not accurate at all. That's really ignorant and silly. Uh, there are a lot of points in the process where drugs can't fix the brain. And so a lot of medical doctors say the brain can't be fixed because their only tools are drugs, because they're drug salesmen, and that's kind of how they've been put together. It's how they've been taught and educated, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of where we're at. Healing the brain is a lot more productive and functional than people think it is. So what you have to do, like, think of it this way. Your brain runs everything. It's the most important thing in the body. If you have issues anywhere else, your body will shunt fuel, oxygen, food, like everything else, back up to the brain so the brain stays functional. All you got to do is just play into the system that you were created with. So what we typically see is that the reason the brain's not functioning the way it's supposed to, whether it's brain fog or MS or dementia, a lot of these things is because the chemicals that are in and around the brain are not what the brain thrives on. And so just like you do with a plant, if the leaves are doing different things, you can be like, oh, this needs more water, this needs more sunlight, this needs a different pH or whatever. So you can do the same thing with the brain, especially for long-term degenerative issues. So one of the big ones, for instance, that we always talk about is what is going on from a fuel source standpoint. A lot of people take dementia and to a degree MS as well. It's a sugar issue. It's an ATP creation issue. Again, this is why you have to understand the body doesn't run on calories. It runs on ATP and actual functional chemistry. But one of the big things is that when you change away from a sugar-based function, because here's the thing, your brain can run on sugar really, really well. And it usually, in American society, it does. And so what ends up happening is that as you increase sugar, your body has to increase insulin to deal with the amount of sugar you come in. Now, if you're always making this insulin come up, then all of a sudden the tissues in your body stop listening to insulin because it's always there. And so that's where we get insulin resistance. And so this is where we go into diabetes. This is why dementia is referred to as type 3 diabetes. Well, guess what the best thing you could do for dementia is? Fix the diabetes, which is super easy to do. Again, you cannot do it with drugs. And again, the diabetes issue is worth $120 billion a year to the medical industry. So the medical industry is never going to teach its doctors how to fix that problem. So you're always going to have a diabetic issue. And so many things stack on top of diabetes that you're never going to be able to fix it until you pull that pin out. So you've got to fix the sugar issue, because again, you have to recognize your brain is running on ATP. Your brain makes ATP, your whole body makes ATP from two sources, sugars and fats. And so if your sugar system's broken, use your fat system. This is the easiest way to look at it. And a lot of times, it's very well known in the neurology community, at least, the general population might not know, but the reason why we know so much about the keto diet was because keto diets fix epilepsy. It's the number one way to fix epilepsy. You can go look it up. It is amazing. We've had a patient now, we've been telling them to get on a keto diet for a long time, for 3 years. Finally, they get them on a keto diet, kid seizures go away. So because of the ketone function, the way the brain repairs and regenerates. But here's the thing, inside the brain, you've still got to move sugar from the outside of the brain to the inside of the brain, and that's an insulin function. But here's the other issue that people don't really talk about. Your brain creates its own insulin. And the hippocampus and the hypothalamus, it creates it in multiple different places, and it uses it for things other than sugar. So guess what? If you have insulin resistance, your brain can't use the insulin it's making for itself either. And so what you have to do is you've got to go, okay, we're going to pull it completely off. We're going to remove all the insulin from the system so that the system can calm down, the levels can drop down, so your body can see the difference between no insulin and insulin. And so that's a major piece of putting the brain back together for dementia, for MS, for any of these sort of things, is to reevaluate the fuel source the brain is getting. Now, here's the other thing. Your brain desperately needs oxygen. I don't think anybody, any practitioner anywhere will be like, no, the brain's not a big user of oxygen. It is the number one user of oxygen. Well, guess what? If you've got sleep apnea, if you've got, chronic bronchitis type of stuff, if you've got lots of reactive oxidative stress in your body eating up all the oxygen that comes in, you're not going to have oxygen levels that are high enough. Now, one of the major issues is the apnea. And so like everybody we test who comes in for anything, who goes through the process, we do a sleep study on. And you would be shocked at the amount of people who have some type of apnea. And it's one of those things where, like, honestly, I don't care that much if you snore. If you snore and your partner hates it, but your oxygen levels at night are, above 90 something, get your mouthpiece, you'll be fine. Now, we've tested a lot of people whose oxygen levels are lower than 90% for like 15, 20 minutes of the night. Now, if you don't understand how oxygen functionality works, you need your oxygen, your percentage oxygen between, like when you're awake, above 97 or above. When you're asleep, you need it roughly 94, 95 or above. So this is one of those things we see as a massive problem. And so, getting the oxygen up is going to be really, really important for a brain. And this is for kids. This is for adults. This is for everybody. Everyone's brain needs oxygen. And if you're not getting the oxygen you need, especially at night, we've got to start ramping up the oxygen. CPAPs are a great option. My CPAP is hooked to an oxygen concentrator, so my oxygenation at night is at 98 to 100% all night long. So, and that's an option we have for all of the guys that we're working with, whether it's dementia or PTSD or whatever their presenting label is. It's usually metabolic dysfunction. So, that's one of the big ones. So we've got ATP control, we got the oxygen control. Now, here's the thing: at a certain age, your body's going to stop producing testosterone. Testosterone is critical for healing. It is your healing hormone. So if you're not getting that regeneration function, if you're not getting that repair function, that's going to be an issue. So we've got to get that up. So when we start looking at, people who've had traumatic brain injury, for example, for a long time, if they didn't have these things, put in, we're going to have issues with them healing. And so you can go back through and do a decent amount of healing with this all the way through. And we've seen it happen lots of times. People calm down, people relax, symptoms that other people would diagnose as PTSD. I hate that diagnosis. I'll go through that someday. But that's those things start calming down as you start giving the brain back what it needs. Now, one of the other things that the brain desperately needs is methylated folic acid. And so if you're taking a B vitamin that's not fully methylated, and you're wondering about your brain, you got to get that up. You got to get the methylated folic acid up. So those are things we got to put into the brain. Now, there's things we got to take out of the system that are causing problems. I'm really excited that people are finally starting to talk about parasites. We've been talking about them for 20 years, working with parasites for 20 years, cleansing out people's bodies. And people are like, I've never heard of parasites. Now that ivermectin's become a thing, and people are starting to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better because you had a parasitic infection, you got cleared out. The vast majority of people on the earth, in America, I would say, have parasitic infection. And I've gone through that over and over again, why that is and how to stop it. But so parasites are a major issue. They create inflammatory chemicals in their excrement and in the chemicals they use to eat holes in you and stuff like that. It's highly inflammatory to both the gut and the brain. Well, if we're working on the brain, you got to take those parasites out so that toxin removes from the system. And again, if they're in your gut, they're preventing you from making serotonin. They're preventing you from making all the other chemicals, helping you digest food, make methylated B vitamins, all those things. And then, of course, because parasites eat your probiotics, your yeast is going to be higher, which creates more gas and bloating and indigestion issues and stuff like that. So we're all messed up there. But here's the other piece of that. It's also putting a lot of pressure on your liver. What is your liver's job? Your liver's job is to suck all the waste out of your blood so that your blood can then clean all your rest of your tissues, including your brain. So when we clean the liver out, pull all the parasites out, pull the congealed bile salts out, radically increase the methylated B vitamins like B6 and B2. We use a product called Tomorrow Effects that has a bunch of different stuff in it that cleans the liver. Once the liver gets clean, now the liver can clean the blood and the lymph. And the blood and the lymph can then go through osmosis and pull out all the trash out of the gut and out of the brain. Because remember, got to make serotonin, got to make all the chemicals in the gut, and then we got to clean the brain. And so these are the other pieces of putting this back together. So, these are just a couple of little things. So if you've got brain fog, if you've got, low energy, if you think you might be getting, or dad or somebody might be getting, dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. This is 100% the path to walk through. So we call the beginning of this baseline, bring everybody back to baseline. And that's what we're doing with, the guys from Project Reforge right now, is we kill the parasites, we kill the yeast, we reset the gut, we feed the liver so the liver can start sucking all the waste out of the body. And then we start feeding the body back. We start, feeding the B vitamins back. We start cleaning up all the nutrients they need. We put the testosterone levels back up where they're supposed to be. Luckily, most of these guys are already on testosterone, so we don't have to worry about that. But that's how you repair the brain, is you feed it, and you let again, the power that made the body heals the body. The design of the body will go back to healing the body. So if you just go back through it and go, okay, what are we not giving the body? Oh, it's not getting methylated B vitamins. It's not getting, so it's not getting the oxygen. It's not getting the testosterone. It's not getting, it's not getting the ATP production it needs because the fasting insulin is too high. And if you have issues with your brain, if you've got brain fog, or, you can't think straight, or dad has dementia, or mom has diabetes or something like that, and your doctor has not pulled fasting insulin, I would go work with somebody who does. We pull it all the time. It's one of those things where just getting the fasting insulin doesn't mean anything. Like, I've had people come in and they took the labs that we pulled on them to their doctor, and the doctor was like, everything looks great. And this particular person had a fasting insulin of 16, which is massive insulin resistance. And docs are like, because they don't know what to do with those numbers. They're within the range. And a lot of these docs let labs doctor for them. If it's within the range, then everything's okay. When it's not, so that's one of those big things. So getting the chemistry back to the body that it's required is a really, really big deal. And so if we can get that chemistry back, the body knows how to heal itself, and it will. Here's the problem. We're giving the body foods and we're changing diet to help heal the brain. Nowhere in here was there a drug. And that's why your people who are based on utilization of drugs for their treatment care don't know how to do this part. So that's the big issue, is that they're trained to utilize and sell drugs. That's how they're trained. They're not trained to use diet and physiology in the way the body was designed to function, because it doesn't make money for the guys who taught them how to do stuff. That's why the system's broken. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys have any brain fog, if you're worried about dementia, if you're worried about those type of things, give the office a call, pillarswellness.com, look us up, hit us up, and we can help you guys start walking this stuff back. At the beginning, it's a little bit intensive, but at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff's really easy. If you have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and you don't want it to be a problem in your life anymore, give us a call. We'll help you guys walk that one back. That one's super easy to do. And most of the time, people have a really good time doing it, because the foods you eat are pretty awesome. Like I tell everybody, I had a patient who, we broke his diabetes issues. He had been diabetic for 10 years. And after about 2 months, he wasn't diabetic anymore. And he was eating pizza and pasta, and he was eating cookies and pie and stuff like that. So it's not about the calories. It's all about the chemistry. So if you guys have any of those issues and you don't want them anymore, give us a call. We'll help you walk back through them. But I'm excited for some of the things that we're doing, because you guys might be able to see firsthand how some of these things work and how some of them go. So we're still filming everything. So hopefully in the next week or 10 days, we'll have some stuff to be able to put out. Editing takes longer than most people think. So, but it'll be good times. So if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com, or drop in the comments, and we'll get you guys going. Thanks for your time. Have a fabulous day.